Have you heard about the game Frostpunk? No? Well, let me tell you what it is. What is going on, everybody? My name is Ri-Fi, and today we're going to talk about why you need to play Frostpunk in 2021. I'm going to be talking about things that made me fall in love with this game from the second that I played it, and now, almost 150 hours down the line, I am still in love with it and still finding new ways to play, and it's just really enjoyable. And before I start properly, I want to thank everybody who is currently subscribed and people who are commenting on my videos. You are giving me motivation to keep putting the videos in and keep putting the effort in. And if you want to support a small YouTuber who wants to one day achieve his goals of becoming a full-time YouTuber and full-time content creator and achieve his dream that he's had since a child, please consider hitting that subscribe button, writing a comment if you like the videos and hitting that thumbs up. And that's enough for me being a sellout, so let's get on with the video that you clicked on to watch. So when I sat down to actually write down all the reasons why I love Frostpunk, it's very hard where to start. Is it the amazing gameplay from start to finish, or is it the fantastic soundtrack that goes along with it, or the graphics and the playthrough? Who knows? But what we're going to do is we're going to break it down into little sections about why I think you definitely need to play this game in 2021, and then it will be continuously one of your favourite games, I guarantee it. So for those who don't know what Frostpunk actually is, or maybe you've got it in your wishlist, or it's currently free on the Epic Game Store and it's sometimes discounted on Steam. Basically, my point of view is it's a civilization slash city builder game, strategy game, all mixed into one, where you are essentially given a population of X amount of people, a generator, and told to keep them alive, keep them warm, and keep them healthy. And you go along the game and you meet new people and get more followers, and you've got to gather resources and keep yourself alive and well and make sure you don't get kicked out of your own settlement and survive the big freeze at the end. And I think that's where this game really comes into its own, because I've played a lot of civilization games and a lot of city sim builder games and everything, but there's not a game that I've played yet that's quite like this, where you're essentially told you have to control these people and keep them alive, and if you don't, you'll either obviously lose the game, or you'll get kicked out of your settlement and lose, or people will die. And it's literally so much you could do right, but also so much you could do wrong, where I say that you could play a game the same time 10 times over, and every single time you'll have a different outcome. And that's what I really love about this game, is that it gives you sort of freedom to do what you want. You've got to follow a few sort of rules about making sure everybody's healthy and making sure they've got enough food and that. But other than that, there are so many different ways that you can win, but there's also so many different ways that you can lose. And it's so good to find a game in 2021, or last year in 2020 when I actually bought it. It gives you that freedom to sort of choose the direction you want to go. And you don't really find that in games these days, because people are making games easier to sort of appease to people that just want to pick up a game and then drop it and pick it up again. World of Warcraft, I'm looking at you, and games have just been sort of watered down to a point where it's no fun anymore. But Frostpunk consistently does it for me. It wants me to come back, and it makes me come back, because it's like, oh, I've just spent 2 hours on a civilization and did one thing wrong, and now I'm losing, and then eventually I can't finish what I want to do because I did this so wrong. And you've got to go back, and then it's like, oh, I really don't want to go back. But then 5 minutes later, you're starting another game and you're playing through it again. And I think it's important, that especially in 2021, to mention that this game has no microtransactions. And it's a sorry state in gaming where that has become a feature, that no microtransaction is actually a feature that you would consider. But this game, you get what you pay for. You pay the money for the base game, you buy the DLC, and anything extra that comes, I believe, would be included in the season pass. You can buy the music if you want, but in the game, you don't have to pay for anything else. You get everything that you pay for. And I can't believe I'm saying this, it's a feature in this day and age, but microtransactions are in literally every game now, so I think it was important to note that this game, you have none. And it just has that sort of style where when you play, you could just lose hours and hours into the game. There's been many times where I've started a game at like 10 o'clock at night, and then I turn around and the light's coming through the blinds at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and it's like one of those moments when you're thinking, oh shit, I need to go to sleep, but you're sort of gripped into it, and it's so thrilling. And then I'm thinking, why is it so thrilling? What would make a person want to play this game? And there's a few things for me. So the first and foremost one is the sound, the music in the game. Frostpunk and the creators, the musical geniuses, they've made a game that essentially the music evolves and changes based on what stage you are in the game. Played a little bit in the background now for you because it essentially, when the big freeze essentially comes, the pace of the music picks up, and so you know that, right, you've only got a certain amount of time before this is about to hit me, and it sort of ramps the music up louder and faster, and it's a different tempo, and sort of the bass changes, and the special effects, the ambient noises, they all change to make it seem like there's a frost really coming. And if I'm honest, the soundtrack is a big thing for me. In any game, it's the sound is the thing that makes or breaks movies and games and TV shows. I honestly think that is what drives emotion in media. And if a game can get the music right, then everything else is second to none. But in this game, it's just absolutely perfect. I'll give it a 10 out of 10. And if you can afford that extra little bit of money on the Steam store, you can download the music and the soundtrack, or you can just listen to it on YouTube, whatever. But in the game, it's just absolutely amazing. Can you tell I like the music? And with the music is combined with the amazing gameplay and the amount of diversity that you get in the game. It's not just one game mode and then the other game modes are slightly different. It's completely different. And that's what I love about it. It gives you so much sort of options to play, and when you start the game it's like, which one do I do? You've got a new home scenario, which is the first one you ever play, which essentially is all about making sure you survive the big freeze and you make it past it. That's sort of like your entry level to the game. And then you've got a game mode called the Arcs, which essentially is you've got to deal with everything that happens in the first game mode, but now you have these buildings that you need to protect from freezing because they hold seeds for your civilization. You know, you never get to use them, but you know this is a really important building and you have to keep them alive and you have to keep them heated. So you've got that game mode and that option added into it, which adds a whole new different sort of twist on the game. And then you've got the refugees, which sounds pretty self-explanatory. You have to build your civilization and prepare for a swarm of refugees and a swarm of workers and engineers and children to come into your civilization. So you need to make sure you have enough food and coal, resources and houses and heating to keep them all well. Or if you don't keep them healthy and prepare for it, you will lose the game. And then the Fall of Winterhome is just absolutely amazing because it ties in with the first game mode, A New Home, because you visit Winterhome. And Winterhome is all about, you start a game that the civilization's essentially kicked out their old leader because they were trash, and you start like a game halfway sort of created, and you've got to sort of survive, and you've got a time frame to make sure that you could do well, or they'll kick you out as well. So you sort of like limited on what you can do, and then you after that you've got complete freedom of choice. The last Autumn game mode, it's completely different. You're no longer in the frost. You're in essentially the first sort of creation of the generator, which is what you play as in A New Home and the Fall of Winterhome. It's essentially you are building that, and the whole new game mode is you've got to create it. So then things like workers' rights come in, and all these different laws that you need to make sure you keep an eye on, and it's just completely different to all the other game modes. And it's like, wow, this is completely different. And then On the Edge just kicks you in the teeth and says, remember all that thing you remember about all the other game modes? Well, this is completely different. You essentially have to communicate with the New Home area, the Winter Home. You need to communicate with another civilization, and they're telling you need to send them a certain resource, and they will in turn send you food, because you can't find food yourself. So like the other game modes where you can create food, you can no longer do this on this game mode. So you need to sort of trade with the other civilizations, and then after that things go wrong, and then you need to go into the frozen wastelands and search for other civilizations to trade food. So not only have you got everything that you've got to deal with in every other game with the resources and things like that, you have to trade and barter with these other civilizations to get food, to get coal, to get wood. And there's like, it's so much more diverse and so much more fun. And as I'm talking about it, I hope you can tell the passion and the excitement that I've got in this game, because as I'm talking about it, it just makes me want to go back, because there's so many different game modes that you can play, and I can guarantee that if you play this game, you will feel the same excitement that I do. And if that's not enough for you, and you think, well, That's not a lot. Now they even offer endless mode where you have 3 different scenarios. You can go what's called endurance, which is for survivalists, where you get scarce resources. It's absolutely freezing with frequent blizzard. Every day is going to be a struggle. Or you've got one for the builders, the pioneers, where you get no heating, no support, harsh weather. Build the generator and try to survive. So you literally have to add what is in like the last autumn scenario where you need to build the generator. Or you've got the Serenity for the constructors where you get plenty of resources, hardly any weather issues, and you can build the city how you see fit. So you've got complete freedom on all these different game modes, and then even endless mode where you could play for hours and hours and hours and hours. And it offers unique different maps which you've not seen in the main game. There's one where you can build bridges, and there's little sort of like sort of mountains each individual, and you need to build bridges to get across there to get sort of major resources like coal and steel. And if that wasn't enough, today Frostpunk or 11-Bit Studios have announced a new possible DLC for Frostpunk, which is coming out in autumn this year. So that's even more that you can get, which I believe, hopefully, if you buy the season pass of Frostpunk, you'll get this next DLC. I hope they don't ask you to buy another game instead of adding it onto the season pass. But not only that, which will give you hundreds of hours to play, there's even more coming. So to wrap it up as well, it saves me fanboying over this game, and you can probably tell why I love it so much, but the graphics as well just look amazing. And especially with the on-screen special effects when you're in the frozen wastelands or when you're in the freeze, like snow comes across the screen and it makes it seem like you are literally there. Luckily you don't feel the cold because it gets to about minus 150 degrees Celsius. So luckily you're not there and you're at home, hopefully in a nice warm house or a flat or whatever that you're in, or a camper van playing it, because people do that these days. Luckily you don't have to stick with the freeze that they have to go through. But even the customization, you can rename every single one of your civilization population, and you can rename certain workable machines like automatons. They have their own name. You can name your own generator and your own civilization. It's just absolutely amazing. And something that I don't really look at much, but when you're out in the wasteland and you go to different outposts and points, there's a journal and there's a wall of text from people that have written stuff from the company explaining things. Now, normally text is quite forgotten, but if you sit and actually read it, you can follow the whole journey. And it's really cool how it links in together, where when you play one scenario, it links into a different scenario and you're essentially playing the opposite side. So when you're playing a new home, you're trying to contact Winterhome, but Winterhome's gone. And then when you play a Winterhome, you are essentially that civilization that you were trying to contact. It's just absolutely amazing how they link it together, and it's sort of like everything's all intertwined and you play it from all these different scenarios. But that's it from me, everybody. Thank you if you got to the end of this video. I want to appreciate all the love that I've got from all my Frostpunk videos. It really motivates me to make more. And let me know what you love about Frostpunk the most. I'm going to continue to make guides. There's plenty of different scenarios, and I've only made it for a new home. And people have really commented and said how much they really like the guide, which I don't think they're very good, but clearly people like them. So I'm going to keep making more of them. But let me know in the comments, everyone, what do you think you love the most about Frostpunk? Have you got it? Are you thinking about getting it? Is this video sort of inspired you to buy it? What's going on? So hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, write a comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.